Satnam, hello, yogis and yoginis. Welcome back to today's live stream, which will be all about the heart. We're going to do a special session today, considering that tomorrow is Valentine's Day and many people are getting ready to have romantic meetings, let's say. So there is something I wanted to share with you about the heart when the heart has been through a situation in life when it's being hard and you feel pain or you feel the heart that has closed. And there is a lovely, lovely meditation to open it back again and to open to love in general. So it's a beautiful meditation that I don't know where I discovered it actually. I used to think that it was from a Kriya Yoga book. I was convinced I read it there somewhere. But some years later, I went back to that book to check for the original source, and I couldn't find it anywhere. So I'm not sure whether I read it somewhere, I invented it, I don't know where it comes from. But I'm going to share with you this meditation that is a wonderful way to heal whatever heart we feel in the heart. And it helps also to forgive, because we've been talking a lot about forgiveness in several videos in this channel. Like, for example, when we were doing the Karam Kriya course on number 7, we did a whole episode especially on forgiveness. And I mentioned forgiveness is something that you do in your mind, and there is a part of forgiveness that you do in your mind, and then there is one thing that you can do in your heart. So today we will cover this area that helps to solidify whatever you are forgiving and whoever you are forgiving, and to help heal any wound in the heart and to open back to love, open yourself back to love. So I will just mention a little bit on how it was an experience for me doing this meditation, and then I will describe the details of the meditation. And it's actually quite a funny story, so I want to share that with you. And how old was I? 23 years old, probably. And I had already begun to do yoga in a more dedicated way. Most of you know that I was born in a yogic family, but as a young man, I went away from spirituality, and I went into science and engineering and all that. And then at some point I came back into spirituality. And when I came back, I was confronted with the shadow of my past and some things that I was feeling angry about, and I was feeling like a victim particularly. There might be all the things that I felt guilty about, but especially like a victim, having been through a rough childhood when I was going through a lot of bullying in the school, and I suffered a lot from that. And so I felt that a big part of me, and I also mentioned this the other day, and this is a little bit of my vulnerability to expose this thing. I didn't have to talk about this, but I will just mention it, that I was feeling very, also because of that bullying, I felt very inappropriate, very low self-esteem, and a lot of dark feelings. And my heart was very much closed to the point that I couldn't think that anybody could love me to that extent. No? So if somebody would express any kind of caring towards me, I felt like there was something wrong about them, or they wanted something from me, or they were trying to take advantage of me, and I just didn't believe them. And that was my darkness, that was my shadow, that was my inability to connect to my own self-love, and therefore not accepting somebody else's love. So when I started coming back to the spiritual life and to the yogic life, I said, well, I gotta get rid of this. I cannot carry on my life feeling all this darkness and this anger, because I was feeling a lot of passive aggression. And so I have to heal this somehow. So I had already started my practice, my mantra practice. I was already doing mantra yoga. I don't believe I had started Kundalini yoga yet. No, I had been to a few Karan Kriya workshops with Shiv Charan, and I had started to study the numbers. I wasn't doing Kundalini yoga except just some meditations that my sister was giving me, and I was just practicing them. But I wasn't really formally doing classes or anything. So anyway, I came upon this meditation, which again, I don't know if I read it somewhere or I invented it, but in any case, I thought it was very appropriate. And it was a meditation with hugging meditation. And you are mentally visualizing people that you hug. And I will explain the details of the meditation. I'm just going to try to explain how it affected me, and then I will explain the details. And in this hugging, I was hugging the people from my past, which made something with me that harmed me. I felt harmed by those people, whatever had happened to me, like the bullies in the school, for example. No? So I was waking up relatively early, and I was going to a river that I had near my house, and I would be chanting some mantras on the way there and by the water. And after chanting the mantras, I would go to a little flower garden, and I would be doing this meditation that I will explain in a minute. And I was just hugging. The meditation is about hugging. And I was doing that for about half an hour or so. And every day. And I did it for months. And I don't know how long it was until I had the experience that I'm going to relate now. But probably a few months I had been doing this. And I could feel increasingly better towards myself. And I didn't feel so much oppression in my heart. I felt it opening up. And I was feeling better about myself, particularly those walks in the gardens, in the park, by the river. It felt really healing. So I'm going to say that the meditation was wonderful, but I cannot separate the meditation from everything else that was happening at that time. So my yogic practice, the mantras, and going into nature, this all contributed. But anyway, so this is what happened. This is the funny bit of the story. In the mornings I was doing this, and in the afternoon one day, I was invited by one of my flatmates to go out to the pub. This was in Scotland. I was living in Scotland at that time. And yeah, I'll join you. And so we went to the pub, and this friend of mine, he's a German guy, he had his uncle visiting. I didn't know his uncle at all, but he had just come to visit him. So, and we were meeting at the pub. So I was meeting them at the pub, my friend, my flatmate, and his uncle. And so we went into the pub, and I just met him in the door, and I saluted him, and this was... I cannot imagine like a more German presence, and now I'm gonna do some stereotypical images of German, but he was quite round about the belly, probably from too much beer, I have to say. But he was wearing these kind of trousers with this thing that you hang the trousers from the shoulders. I don't know how to call that. And he was like big with a big mustache, and he was like, oh, very friendly, very, immediately like talking, and oh yeah, let's go to the pub and let's try this Scottish beer. And so we went into the pub, and straight away we sat down in a bench, one of these wooden benches that they had in the pub over there. And my friend didn't even sit down. He went straight to the toilet. He said, oh, I'm going to go to the toilet, just back in a minute. So he went to the toilet. We got our pints. We sat into in the bench, and he was just across from me, this big guy with big mustache. And suddenly I felt the most amazing love I've ever felt for this guy. He was in front of me that I didn't know, and like big, whoa, like this guy. And I was like, wow, so much love towards him. And that was kind of crazy. I never felt something like that before. I had never felt that for even the members of my family at that time, or for the girlfriend that I had at that time. I never felt this much love before, and it was directed towards these guys. And I was like, who is this guy? Of course, it's not about the guy. It was what was happening to me. But it was very interesting. And it was not like a romantic love. Don't think of it that way. But it was just pure unconditional love. And I was like, holding my tears because I was like in ecstasy, and I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to hide. I pretended to drink, and I was like trying to, I don't know, distract myself from what was happening, but I wanted to also enjoy what was happening, but I didn't know what was happening. It was all confusing. So anyway, that was quite an amazing experience, and I learned that day that I actually didn't know what love was up until that very moment. And it was a beautiful feeling that I have had repeatedly after that initial first contact with that man. In some other instances, I've had this incredible pure love coming back to me, and I could feel it very especially when I am with my daughters. You know, when I have several memories of very, you know, in general you love a lot your daughters, but there are some moments when there's something very intense and the heart is opening a lot, and then you feel all this joy coming up, and maybe the tears want to come out as well. And you know, it's not all the time, but it's interesting. When you read the texts from some saints, and I've read quite a few stories from Indian yogis and saints, and there is some stories about love that are that pure like that, which is like unconditional. You don't expect anything. You don't want anything. You don't even have to like the other person. It's not like, oh, I really like them, so I love them, but it's just immediate and it's unconditional. It's so hard to explain. I'm trying to explain something that is happening in the heart. The heart doesn't explain things. The heart just feels things. The mind is now trying to give words to it. But it was truly a remarkable experience. I understand now how in yoga we say that we get to that love through service. Because when we do service, and the definition of services is selfless, yeah, is something that you do without expecting anything. It's not selfish, it's selfless. And by doing selfless service towards others, you learn that quality of the heart, that feeling that you don't expect anything in return, and so your love can turn in that way. So it would be lovely to hold that experience all the time, yeah. But that's something that we read in the stories of some of these saints. I remember one particular story just coming to mind. For example, of one guy who was looking for a guru in the mountains. I believe he was in the Himalayas, and he was looking for him. He had heard about him. He knew he was in some caves up there, and so he traveled quite a few days and journeyed into the mountains and eventually found him. And so this guru was like, "Oh, you came, no? Like, all right, so you're a disciple. You're coming to stay with me, or you're coming to visit me." Okay, so he stayed with him in the cave during that night, and in the next morning, he came out of the cave. He was not in the cave. Maybe I may be forgetting some things of the story, but I'll just tell you as I remember it. And so he came out of the cave, and he was like, "Oh, where is my guru? What is the new guru?" Yeah, new guru. And he went looking for him, and he found him that he was actually in an area with some tigers, and he was playing with the tigers, and he was like, "Wow, that's with tigers," and he felt that he really loved the tigers, and he would love to go down and play with the tigers himself, but he was also a little bit scared, and so he didn't actually go there. So the guru was there playing with the tigers, and after a while he came back up and he found him, and he was already awake. "Oh, right, so you're awake?" And he's like, "Master, I saw what you were doing. You were playing with the tigers. I would love so much to go and play with them." And he said, "It's good that you didn't." He said, "Why not? You were playing with them." And he said, "I really love tigers. I would love to meet them." And he said, "No," he says, "they would have destroyed you." He said, "Why?" He said, "Well, because you love them, but you don't love them 100%. And so even if it's just 1% of fear in your heart, that's going to be your doom, right?" So that goes the story telling us that we don't really know how much is 100% love. And sometimes we have a taste of closer to 100, and it may be a big surprise. There's another story or some kind of saying from, I believe it was from Yogananda, yeah, over there, saying, you may go to God and be angry because God doesn't love you. But some people go to God with a little cup. God is like an ocean, and that's how much love you can take. Some people go to God with a bucket, and some go with a bathtub, right? Or big container. So how big is your heart when you approach God, this great unknown, is how much you can receive. So sometimes we blame others for how much we have in ourselves, and it's just our incapacity to open up more. So here is the meditation, to open up more the heart. So the meditation is very simple actually, and I will guide it a little bit, but you can do it as long as you want and in as much detail as you want by yourself. It's a meditation with a visualization, which I don't often do, but this is one of my favorites, and it has a special place in my heart, this meditation, so I will share it. Basically, it consists to hug other people in your imagination. And you have to imagine that you are hugging them and that they are hugging you. In a way, you are hugging their soul, right? From your soul, you are hugging them as a soul, as a pure being. Because we know no matter how much somebody may hurt us, or whatever they do that we feel that it was really painful, whatever it was, they have their own issues, they had their own karma, they had their own problems, and deep inside there is a soul. And if they were doing something really nasty to you, you could feel even their soul was crying in a way to be doing something like that, something so cruel or something so whatever you think it was going on. So if you go deep enough, you can contact that pure essence within the other. And I'm doing this video in the middle of teaching the course on number one, and number one is the soul, so it makes sense that we connect to the soul in such a way. So this meditation consists of hugging people. Now, to just close your eyes and straight away go and hug that person that you felt harm coming from them, that's not going to be very pleasant, and it's not going to be very healing necessarily. And it could be just going into your memories, and it could be painful. And let's say that you need to let's put it some language. It's like you need some extra charge of energy to be able to deal with such an experience of hugging that person and making it real. And so in order to gather that energy and to feel that you have the strength of will enough to go and hug them, even in your mind, all right? I'm not saying you have to go physically to hug them, just mentally, that could take a lot of strength of will because of whatever happened. So you need to build up to that. So the recommendation for building up to that is to imagine whoever is most sacred, whoever, and I'm talking about a person now, is more sacred to you. So to me, it would be my guru, it would be my spiritual teacher, it would be whatever human form I feel that is closest to God. So, for example, I would concentrate on Ramana Maharshi, yeah, on Yogananda, and Buddha, Jesus, whoever you feel that you are closest to. And I would close my eyes and I would imagine Yogananda in front of me, and I would imagine him, his smile, and I would get close to him and we would embrace, and I would hug him and he would hug me. And it's a double thing, and you feel that you are hugging, so you're opening to that, and you are feeling hugged, so you are opening to that as well, to receiving that as well. And in the meditation, you do that for a while. So you're hugging one, and you take your time to fully feel the embrace and fully feel charged with the energy of that embrace. And you go through your teachers, your gurus, if you wish. And after you go through them and you feel ready, then what I would recommend in this meditation is to start going with the people closest to you in your family. So your mother, your father, brothers or sisters, children, and the same. Take everyone individually. So one by one, The person comes in front of you in your mind, in whatever age they come. They may come as young men or older men, and even your father may come as a young man, or he may come as an older man. So he could come as the age that he has now, or maybe when you were little, whatever, it doesn't matter. Whatever form comes, and he will come, you just take it like that, and then you embrace that person. And you would go through the family, the closest ones. And by the way, there is always a lot of karma in families. That's something we've talked about in number 7 as well. So this is a good opportunity to heal our relationship to our parents as well, and parents and family members. And you go through all of them. And then you could, if it's the first times that you do this meditation, and again, I did this meditation for months, and I would be very methodic, and I would start from 0. So I would go back in my childhood to the earliest age I could remember, and I would try to visualize anyone I could remember. So I would go after going through the family, I would go into school, neighbors, and try to remember, okay, when I was 6 years old, when I was 7 years old, who did I have around me? Who did I meet? Which were my friends and my enemies, if you want to call them like that, and who were my teachers, who were the adults around me, and go one by one. And if during this process at some point you find that you have to meet one of those who harmed you in some way, or who you felt hurt by them in some way, then anytime that you need to, you can go back to your guru, right? So imagine that now I'm going to hug this bully that I had in school that was treating me so badly, saying all those bad things, maybe hurting me in many ways. Okay, so you have to approach this person, you have to hug this person. You don't have to. I'm just saying, if you want to do this meditation and heal the wound in your heart, then okay, you're going to try to see them in their most pure, try to feel that this is their soul, and make it real. Now, as soon as you go into it, if you don't feel strong enough, then you can stop and go back to your guru or your teacher. Yeah, you can go back to Yogananda, for example, yeah, and feel Yogananda's love, Yogananda's presence and energy and strength and will. Yeah, get yourself back, get your strength back, and then go back to the other, yeah, to the one who bullied you, and then you go to that one, and you can do this several times. And then let it go. Yeah, don't spend too long with one person, and then you let it go, and then you continue. And you can do this meditation many days, so you don't have to spend the whole time with one person. You can do it a little bit, heal a little bit, love a little bit, and then move on. And so when I invented this meditation, or when I read this meditation, I started doing it, and I remember it took me quite a few days to get to the present day, because you've met a lot of people throughout your life. Sometimes we don't even realize how many people we have met. So if you start in your childhood, it may take one meditation to do 5 years or 10 years of your life, and then slowly building up to the present. So let's say that you are doing this meditation every day for 20, 30 minutes, whatever time you can allocate for that, and slowly building from childhood to the present. Whenever you have covered everything, every day you start the same, yeah? First hugging the gurus, then hugging your family, and then you go into whoever you're going to go through. I always hug the family as well before going into the others. And then as you build up to the present, whenever you complete the whole history, then any day after that, you can just sit and start the process. So hugging the gurus, hugging the family, and then you can allow whoever comes to your mind. So whoever comes to your mind is because either they need a hug or we need to hug them. So I would just allow anyone to come, okay, and you hug. Anyone to come, there you hug. And whenever you feel weak, go back to the gurus. Back to the gurus, fill up your cup. Yeah? You're not giving from yourself. You're overflowing. Yeah? Your cup of love is filling up. Your heart is filling up with love, and then it overflows through the hug into whoever is around you. If you feel that you're getting empty, go back to the gurus and fill your cup back. No, this is called the cup of prayer, and it's like the cup of love. Yeah, you're filling it up, and so every day you would just do this. Whoever is, I just hug them in the meditation. Also, didn't mention at the end of the meditation, before finishing, you hug yourself. So you imagine yourself as a child, or as an adolescent, or as a young person, and then you hug yourself. So this is a connection towards yourself. You've been hugging yourself all the time because everybody who comes is hugging you, the gurus are hugging you, but you also could hug your inner child in that sense. And you can do this for a number of weeks, and eventually you will get to that point where you get to know the feeling of hugging, and you can do that while you are during the day. You don't have to do this as a meditation. So you may be during the day speaking to somebody, maybe you're in the street having a conversation, and then at that moment you remember the meditation, the hugging meditation. So even while you're speaking to the other, within you, you imagine that you are hugging them, and you are like giving them a hug in the middle of the conversation. And that's a lovely feeling that you can give yourself and offer to somebody. I'm not saying you have to hug them physically, okay? I'm not saying you have to go around life hugging people, but it's about something that you do within yourself. That goes a lot with cultures. In the Spanish culture, we hug a lot. But I remember, the first time I traveled and I started to meet some of the people, they don't hug. We give 2 kisses. When we meet somebody, we give 2 kisses, sometimes a hug. And many people are going to look at you weird if you do that. So you can just do it internally if you wish. And is that all? I think these are all the basic details of the meditation. Yes, when you are trying to heal somebody, maybe like a bully, right? Like the example I was giving before. And I said, well, you do it a few times and then you let it go. And then you get to the present moment, yeah? After you get to the present, any day after that, you can choose to come back to that person who you had an issue with and go back to hugging, do it for a few minutes and then move on. Yeah, and every day you do a little bit, and every day will become easier, and every day will become more real and more sincere. So this is something that you build up. Yeah, you slowly get used to the feeling of hugging and receiving the hug, and slowly get ready for the actual embrace that is sincere within you. Yeah, a real sincere embrace within you. So that is the meditation. I did it for a long while, then I stopped for a number of reasons I'm not going to go into. But it was a very, very lovely experience, and I felt that I healed a great deal of heart through this meditation. Again, through everything that was in the context of that meditation, the mantras, the nature, all that. But especially this meditation was especially healing for me. Particularly my relationship to those people that I felt that I had been harmed by them. So it's like cleaning the karma, whatever karma you had remaining there. Because if you are feeling angry, then you are holding a grudge, you are holding some anger towards them. There is still karma, and the seed of karma is still there. Now, from what we learned last year from the Yoga Sutras, the seeds of karma, there is a way to, I think in the text is saying like burning them, something like that. And I think that this kind of love, this kind of exercise with the love can have this effect of burning those seeds of karma. So that's a lovely thing. And then, you are, the more you do this, the more open you are to love. And tomorrow is Valentine's Day, so you can get ready to have a full hug, a real hug in real life, by preparing yourself, by, removing anything that is not clean and pure within the heart. So how about we do a little bit of that meditation? Yeah. I mean, today, right now, I will just guide it a little bit, but it will be hard for me to guide in a universal way. I will just guide the hugs with the gurus, the hugs with the family, and then I will just give you some open space for you to hug whoever you want to. So you can do that, and we will not do a long one. I don't think we will do a long meditation, but I will guide it in that way. And then whenever you have to do this meditation, I would just suggest to do it by yourself. Don't follow the guidance of this video. You can just close your eyes and guide yourself into doing it. But okay, we are ready. If you can safely sit down or close your eyes somewhere and be quiet for a while, then let us do this meditation. And first of all, internally, we ask the gurus to protect us, to care for us, to embrace us. We ask the gurus to empower the healing of this meditation. And then I'm going to mention a few names, but if you don't feel appropriate to hug them, then you can find other names. First, I will say Yogananda for me, in front of me. Yogananda is for me the guru that is closer to love, to what I understand as pure love. So I'm just gonna, you visualize him in front of you and you feel that he wants to approach you, and then you hug. And you are hugging them and they are hugging you. Try to remember the feeling of hugging and being hugged. Whenever you feel ready, you can move to another holy person or saint or guru, your teacher. Just see them in front of you and embrace. There may be feelings coming up. If you feel some emotions rise to the surface, let them flow. Just surrender to the feeling of love. Whenever you need to, you can move to the next and continue with those saints or gurus holy people that are closest to you. Try to feel that they are sincere about their heart hug. It is two souls meeting. Don't force anyone into the hug. Just allow it to happen. Feel that these hugs are charging you with love from within. And you may feel also the pain that is stored. You may feel forgotten tears. But it is the heart that is being touched by the love that is coming in. And you are filling up with love. Okay, after we have hugged a few of these holy people, we are ready to start with the family. We can start with our mother. Again, whatever age she comes in front of you in the visualization, whatever form it comes, and it's an unconditional hug. You don't expect anything Just share the love that you receive from the gurus. And feel your mother hugging you. You can leave the palms of your hands facing up, open, on your knees or on your lap to facilitate the openness of the hug. Like you are opening to receive the hug as well. Whenever you are ready, you can move on to your father. Even if maybe you have never experienced this person, whoever you are imagining, in this case your father, hugging you, you can imagine how it would be. Just call at his soul and let the two souls embrace. Try not to think too much. Don't talk in your head, just experience. Whenever you are ready, you don't have to do it right away. You can move on to any brother or sister that you may have. And if at any moment you feel weak or that your strength is failing a little bit, or it is hard for you to give the hug, just go back to hugging one of your saints or gurus. It doesn't have to be like a cathartic embrace with lots of tears and things like that. It could be just a soft embrace, just a soft touch of joy from heart to heart. Don't need to make it dramatic or anything else. Is just a story. Stories are in their minds, in their heads. we want to do a meeting of two hearts, simply that, two souls, two hearts, embracing each other. If you have children and you wish to move on to them, you can do it now. And remember that family, particularly family, who knows how many lifetimes have we met before? So this embrace may have been done many, many times over. And if you have children, hugging your children can be a wonderful way to open up the flow of that love that you already have in your heart. Sometimes it's even stronger than hugging your guru. Maybe more immediate, more clear. Tune into that. If you have a number of children or even grandchildren, you can move from one to the next without waiting for me to tell you to do that. You will know when it's the moment to change from one to another. Now, before we move on to anybody else, you can go one more time to your gurus, your holy saint, holy person, just the one that you feel stronger to. And then if you have a husband and a wife or a partner, you can go to them now. And we're not going to go in order today. You can just let any other member of your family to come to mind, uncles, aunties, nephews or nieces or brothers-in-law, whatever comes to your mind from your family or your partner's family, let them come. Whenever somebody comes to your mind, just allow that embrace to happen. And don't try to force anybody. Don't try to name someone and expect them to come. If you don't see their face and themselves ready for that hug, just let it go. You're not forcing anybody who doesn't want a hug. You're just opening yourself to any person in your life to share the embrace with you. And some of them may just come for a few seconds and disappear. And some may want to stay a little bit longer. Just allow it. And it may be uh, times when people who come, they are close to you and maybe you have seen them recently. Sometimes somebody will come that you haven't thought about for years. Maybe they are even not in your life anymore. Maybe they are even dead for many years. But if they come to you, is you will accept them as they come. And again, anytime you need, you can go back to your guru. We're going to move on from the family now, and again, today we are not going to do a very long exercise, a very long practice, but you may choose somebody specific that you may want to approach now, or just let whoever has to come to your consciousness, just let it happen. If you are holding the grudge against someone and you want to heal that, you can try to explore the way I mentioned before. hugging them, and don't stay too long. If you need, come back to the Guru. You on your own time, whenever you want to do this meditation, you can do it longer if you wish. Today we are just gonna make it a bit shorter. So now it's before we close, we will hug ourselves. So see yourself when you were younger, whatever age. It may come different ages, it's okay. And you can hug yourself. We bring the hands to the heart in prayer pose, and we thank every soul who passed through our consciousness. And whenever you are ready, you can open your eyes. Well, that was the meditation. Um, you can practice it anytime. There was a time when I used to practice this meditation at night as well. and I would hug anybody who's come through the day. So anybody who I had met that day, I would revisit them at night and give a hug before going to sleep. And it's a wonderful way to close the day as well. Well, that's it. That's the meditation. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope it helps to heal. Thank you so much, Vairu. Thank you, Isabel, and HD as well. I just saw your message now. Thank you, everybody who connected and everybody who watched. May you heal all the wounds from the heart. May you experience pure love forever. May you have a lovely Valentine's Day tomorrow. Satnam.